Please state your name for the record. We will now begin with ma'am.
Donalyn Camacho. Thank you for inviting me to appear before your committee this afternoon. I would like to thank Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio for nominating me as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission. I am both honored and humbled by this nomination. I am presently employed as the Bank Secrecy Act officer at ANZ Bank for Guam and American Samoa and have been in this role since 2014. My job is to manage the anti-money laundering program in compliance with banking laws and regulations. This function is essential to maintaining safety and trust in the banking industry through the detection and reporting of financial crimes. By way of background, I am originally from the CNMI and moved to Guam in 2011. I hold a bachelor's degree in criminology and criminal justice from the University of Texas at Arlington. I am also a certified fraud examiner and a certified anti-money laundering specialist. As a certified fraud examiner, I am trained to remain impartial during the investigative process and to follow the evidence wherever it may lead. Prior to relocating to Guam, I worked as an audit senior for the CNMI Office of the Public Auditor. The CNMI OPA is responsible for receiving ethics violation complaints and is authorized to investigate and take action as appropriate. As an audit senior, I partnered with the enforcement team to investigate allegations of fraud and ethics violations by government officials and employees. I was also assigned to OPA's Joint Task Force with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, investigating fraud and public corruption. I believe that the Guam Ethics Commission will be vital to ensuring accountability and transparency within the government of Guam, as well as promoting the highest standards of ethical conduct amongst government personnel. As a former government employee and public servant, I feel that my career experience would provide a valuable contribution to the Guam Ethics Commission. I firmly believe in preserving the public's trust and confidence in the government through accountability and transparency. I am excited to apply my knowledge and experience in achieving this mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. Mr. Jack, sir.
Good afternoon. It is indeed an honor to be here with this nomination to serve on the Guam Ethics Board. I'd like to say I'm a husband and a father. I moved to Guam from the United States in 2007 to join a colleague in an eye clinic where I've been practicing ophthalmology since that time. I was born and raised in what was once British Guyana. It's the only English-speaking country in South America. Fun fact is that if you put your finger on the globe, on Guam, and put your finger 180 degrees the other side, you'll most likely hit my country where I'm from. Upon moving here, I was immediately struck by the many similarities between Guam and Guyana, including climate, vegetation, and most of all, the warmth of the people of Guam. I immigrated to the United States with my family in 1974 and eventually graduated from medical school in New York City. I then moved to Los Angeles for residency training, after which I practiced in that area until moving to Guam, as I said, in 2007. Over the past almost 12 years here, I've come to know Guam as a wonderful place to call home. I can go on and on about how well received I've been by the gracious people of this island. However, in this hearing, I want to be brief, but I want to emphasize just how important this opportunity is to serve Guam to me. I was surprised and honored to be told I was being considered for this important role. To be effective, government in a democracy must be seen by those governed as honest, impartial, reasonable, and fair. I applaud Governor Leon Guerrero for reestablishing the Guam Ethics Board in order to promote these principles. And I promise to carry out my duties and responsibilities with integrity and honesty. It's the least I can do to give back to the people of Guam for being so kind and gracious to myself and family. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Taekwenko.
I was going to do that. Half a day. My name is Margaret Estelle Raftery Takenko, but I'm best known by Meg Takenko. In June of 1990, I came to Guam to visit a brother and sister-in-law who were stationed here in the U.S. Navy, and 29 years later, I'm still here. As I celebrate my 60th birthday in December, it'll also bring the celebration of living and thriving half of my life here on Guam. I'm the seventh child of 8 siblings my parents produced within 10 years. Someone once told me it was like God put 10 people in a house and said, okay, you're a family. Yes, we are that different from each other, yet we share many similarities. This taught me at a young age the importance of diversity and acceptance of one another and everyone else who makes up this world we live in. Our parents' motto was, with love and faith, all things are possible. This keeps me grounded and focused on the glass being half full, especially when faced with the challenges life takes us through. After graduating from the University of Michigan, I continually advanced my career within sales and service with great companies to include Ford Motor Company, Triple J Enterprises, Atkins Kroll, and Xerox Corporation. In 2013, after 13 years with Xerox, I retired as general manager, wanting to somehow have an impact on Guam's workforce and our future economy. I established my own company, Energetic Presence, which helps individuals and teams show up and make a positive impact for themselves and the world around them. I just celebrated 25 years of marriage to Clifford Takenko this month and live happily ever after in Molesso. Together we made 2 amazing children, Gideon and Handa, who remind me often it was my parenting idea to raise responsible and independent kids, and I just need to let go and remember we're all imperfect human beings doing the best we can when we choose to do at whatever we choose to do in every moment. I live by my primary personal values, which are love, courage, growth, contribution, and balance, which allows me to be very confident in being who I am. If it's believed I can be of service to Guam as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission and still pursue the growth of Energetic Presence, I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we go to you, we're going to go to her first, and then you'll be able to speak first after about both, for both. Okay? I'll have the nominee first, ma'am.
Okay. Buenos días, half a day. I would like to thank the Honorable Joe San Agustin, Chair of the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, members of the committee, and senators of the 35th Guam Legislature present for taking time this afternoon to learn more about me in order for you to make a sound decision regarding my appointment as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission. My name is Marilyn Roberto Borja. I currently reside in Mangilao, but was raised in the village of Talafofo. I graduated from Inaran High School in 1994 and immediately entered the workforce as an accountant for a local security company where I worked for 5 years. Medical circumstances with my second child forced me to change careers that would allow me an increase in my single-parent income to afford the medical expenses for my son's congenital disease. I entered the field of marketing and sales first at a local radio station and then moved into telecommunications a few years later, where I still work today, almost 17 years later, now Docomo Pacific. I am fortunate and humbled to a great company who saw value in me at the young age of 26, invested in my growth, and saw past what others would see as a risk, a young single mother with 2 kids, one of which who had ongoing medical concerns, and for this, I'm forever thankful to God and to the many leaders and colleagues I've had the great opportunity of working with. I am blessed to serve today as Vice President of Sales for the company's Enterprise Business Unit, a company that lives the Inafat Malik way through its corporate culture and driven by the strength of its people. I'm married to Tori Borja. We have 4 children, and just like the over 170,000 plus residents who call Guam home, we are simple people who love our island. I lived both sides of the coin. I've seen the hard life struggling for another day, and I've also been extremely fortunate, all of which I'm thankful to God for blessing me and my family abundantly. I'm extremely humbled by the nomination and the appointment by our Maga Haga to serve as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission, and hope you determine I can be of value to it. With regards to community involvement and giving back where I can, I currently volunteer and serve in the following organizations that are very close to my heart. Vice Chair of Sanctuary, a private nonprofit organization founded in 1971, which exists to improve the quality of life for Guam's youth. Secretary for Hurrah Academy, established in 2005, and whose primary mission is to promote and perpetuate the Chamorro language and culture. I formerly served as the Vice Chair for the Chamber Business Women's Network, a subcommittee of the Guam Chamber of Commerce, and I'm still involved today with continuous efforts to promote women in business and overall development. I believe giving back to our community is fundamental, both in my professional life and my family life, a value I hope my children see, appreciate, and give back themselves. The revival of the Guam Ethics Commission is key to a transparent government, holding all government employees, including the Commission, to the highest ethical standards. I look forward, if confirmed, to apply my experiences, strength, and insight to the Commission through creating policies and procedures, decision-making, and regular reporting, to name a few. I'm excited to be a part of the resurrection of this Commission and help set the foundation for a sustainable one, and one that the people of Guam are confident in. Chairman San Agustin, I'd like to thank you and the members of the committee for your consideration, and I humbly ask for the committee's confirmation. Sizo Smasi.
Thank you. Now you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Christine Roberto Lujan. I am the Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations for Triple J Enterprises. I'm here in support of Margaret Taikenko to my left and Marilyn Roberto Borja. So I'll start with Meg. I have known Margaret, or Meg, personally and professionally for many years, and the best way that I can describe her is dynamic. Her career on Guam has been in management and sales with various top companies such as Mobil, Triple J, Atkins Kroll, and also Xerox Corporation. It only made sense upon her retirement, I guess if that's what you call it, that she continued doing business in consulting, coaching, and training. I know this personally, she feels her purpose is to assist others who want to help themselves, who will accept responsibility and work independently to be successful in their goals, all while doing it with joy and purpose. Her passion for our youth is evident in her involvement with the Junior Achievement of Guam, and her commitment to Guam's economic growth in her involvement with the Guam Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business Committee as well. And she's also involved in many other civic and nonprofit organizations, and I sit on some of those boards with her. It is because of this and many other reasons that I strongly support her appointment to the Guam Ethics Commission. Thank you. And now for Marilyn. While it is for obvious reasons that I would be offering a recommendation for my sister Marilyn Borja on her appointment as a member to the Guam Ethics Commission, I think there is more to be said about having a lifetime of experiences with a person. When you've lived life with someone, you are able to see the best and worst in them. And when you are resurrecting a committee within the government in an effort for a transparent Guam, you would expect them to meet the highest standards and want absolute transparency from its members. Marilyn has always been beyond her years. She is perceptive, sharp, with a high aptitude for math and analytics. She has always been driven to understand how things work. Even growing up, she never responded the way a middle child would. She was always a leader and a decision maker. She had a high sense of empathy for those around her, especially those under her care. And over the years, that display of leadership and respect translated into a well-structured and highly analytical approach to everything she did, whether it's at home or at work. She is a devoted mother and wife and has a strong personal desire for community and culture. Her personal strengths are as impressive as her professional accomplishments. We actually worked together for several years on the same sales team for Docomo. I saw firsthand how her personal working methods helped her climb up the corporate ladder quickly, starting from administrative to sales to management to now the first female vice president for the company. Her biggest strengths to me are her strong sense of loyalty and personal responsibility and holding herself accountable. Marilyn and I sit on many civic and nonprofit boards and committees together, and to be quite honest with you, feel lucky to have such a detail-oriented and conscientious contributor with terrific range, both personally and professionally, by my side. I would be proud to see her appointment to the Guam Ethics Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. You must be Nathan, right? Okay, sir.
Thank you, Chairman San Agustin, Senator Talahi. My name is Nate Taminglo, and I currently serve as the Chief Human Resources Officer of Docomo Pacific, as well as the Vice Chairman of the Port Authority of Guam. I'd like to remark first that if I were to give my support to Marilyn Borja on the basis of how fast she can read, the confirmation would go quite smoothly. I had no idea she could read that quickly. I'd also like to point out the fact that I've never seen a member give testimony and ask questions to the chairman, so hats off to Christine for for asking so many questions in this hall. I'd also like to give my support to other members of the Ethics Committee that are appointed. And I'd also like to give my support to them as well. But in terms of Marilyn, I'd like to speak to a few things. First, her professional experience. She's a vice president of our firm. She's a member of our executive management team. In just her responsibility alone, she's responsible for a wide group of individuals, and she's also accountable for a large part of our business, namely the enterprise business unit in terms of sales channel. We're also a Japanese-owned firm, so in terms of ethical standard and accountability, it doesn't really get any higher than that. And Marilyn has been a big part of our corporate accountability programs as well as ethical review panels. In terms of her character, if I could tell a story, part of the business that we pride ourselves on is our corporate culture. And one thing that I set out to do when I first joined the firm was to reinvigorate that. And Marilyn was a big part of that. In terms of pride in our organization, it's very well known that Marilyn is the heart of Docomo Pacific. And she carries that every single day. In terms of what she did with our group, we basically shut the business down for 4 months and we gave the responsibility to our high potentials. And these are people that we see in our business that will one day take over and be C-level positions within our organization. And Marilyn basically, without anyone asking, she facilitated and led primarily the group responsible for reinvigorating our corporate culture. And it's something that we're very proud of today. If I could speak to her character, she's one of my trusted confidants. And between her and her sister, Christine, I do count them as two very genuine friends. What started out in my career as the older sisters that give you life advice has now become, they're a shoulder for me to lean on for advice, and it's worked out quite well. So, undoubtedly she has my support, and I look forward to her confirmation as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission. And undoubtedly she will serve the people of Guam proudly. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Ms. Jane first. Did you want to speak? You did sign in. I know you did give your testimony. If you could just right over there, ma'am. Because I know you're going to speak for Ms. Margaret and also for Shannon, who's not here yet. Hopefully she'll be here soon. Are you going to speak as fast as Ms. Margaret? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll try. Good afternoon, Senator San Agustin and Senator Terlahi. My name is Jane Flores. I'm here as the Government Committee Chair and a board member of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce to testify in favor of Meg Taikenko as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission. The Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce wholeheartedly supports the appointment of Ms. Margaret Taikenko as a member of the Guam Ethics Commission. Ms. Taikenko's spotless business and public service records over the past 35 years include successful leadership, sales, and service roles for corporations, as you know, such as Xerox, Ford Motor Company, Atkins Kroll, and Triple J. In 2013, Ms. Taikenko, or Meg, embraced her entrepreneurial spirit and her desire to have a positive impact in the community by helping others reach their highest potential and create and claim success in their lives. Thus was born her consulting business, Energetic Presence, through which she coaches, consults, trains, and speaks with individuals, groups, and businesses to help members and employees reach their full potential. The premise behind Meg's consultation business is to assist value-based businesses that are facing leadership, management, sales, and service issues within their teams. Meg defines success not with monetary gains, but based on her own ethical values and beliefs, starting with love and happiness. Meg Taikenko not only believes in the power of giving back, she lives that mantra. Meg's lifelong record of volunteerism, which was learned at an early age from her mother, includes over 2 decades of involvement with the nonprofit organization Junior Achievement. She's also a member of the Guam Women's Chamber and the Guam Chamber of Commerce. Her efforts truly helped to elevate the talent pool on Guam and in Micronesia. Meg's principles of honesty, hard work, and service to others make her the perfect member of the community to sit on the Guam Ethics Commission. The GWCC proudly and strongly recommends her appointment to this important commission. Siju Smasi for the opportunity to submit this testimony honoring Meg Taikenko's professionalism and, most importantly, her commitment to ethics.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to also recognize Senator Lee has joined us. And just let everybody know that we're live, and most of the other senators might be still in their office watching exactly what all your testimony. And I want to start off first with, before I ask Senator Lai or Senator Lee to give any comments, I just love the composition of all the nominees. We got 2 businesswomen. I'm a former criminal tax investigator, so I know exactly what you talk about when you talk about tax fraud. And we have a doctor in the house. Doc, I guess you're going to be bringing your instruments with you during your commission meeting, because we have a speed reader. We got a lady from Mauricio. You'll be looking at how long it took her to get up here, and then we got the tax fraud saying, hey, let's make sure our numbers match, and we move on. The composition, I have to admit, looking at every one of you nominees' background, gosh, Triple J, Docomo, like I said, the doctor's in the house, I feel very comfortable, because he's going to be making sure everything is right. And then the tax fraud person will be saying to the 2 ladies, hey, slow it down, let's go this at a little bit of a calmer pace. And I say this positively, okay? And I am going to be supporting your confirmation. And I'll pass on now to Senator Lai, and then Senator Lee will follow up with that.
First off, good afternoon, everybody. I want to just kind of give credit to our governor, lieutenant governor, for making that right choice, an outstanding choice of people. And I just want to say thank you for taking the challenge, and thank you for your service. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you ahead of time, because sometimes when I get up here, I kind of just come out and say, hey, you're going to be confirmed. All 15 of them are going to vote for you. So same goes. All 15 of you will be voted by the 15 senators. Or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll be confirmed for sure. And just like what the chairman says, I think is really making his choice of approving your nomination and confirming you ahead of time, just like me. Thank you very much. And
Senator Lee. And she's got all the notes, so she's been watching upstairs. So I know she's watching you.
Mr. Chair. Yes, I was watching earlier, and I want to thank you all. I want to first thank our Magahaga. I think that she has also done some good due diligence in selecting each and every one of you. I have the privilege of knowing many of you in our community, so I want to thank you for accepting the nomination, and also thank your families for the service that you will be providing to our community if confirmed in this capacity. I also want to thank our stakeholders for the community for testifying on their behalf. It's really important for us to, if we don't know you, to be able to get to know you, but I have the benefit of knowing many of you in personal and professional roles. I think I do want to give each of you nominees or an opportunity to present something to the committee and just think about it for a minute. But if you could give an example of an ethical dilemma that you've faced, whether it's in your professional life or in your personal life, and just tell us a little bit about how you were able to make a decision and resolve this particular issue or challenge. And if you could just give us an example of that, because I want to have a better idea of your thought process in terms of ethical dilemmas and how you're able to come to the decisions that you are. And so if I could ask my good friend, Miss Marilyn Borja, to start us off, because I know she's already ready already.
She probably just fired them and it wouldn't be an issue, you know, I mean, businesswoman.
Marilyn?
It was good that I actually have the HR head here because the first thing that I'm a person that, immediately things come to mind. And I thought I would be asked this question. So as a Chamorro woman, right, and also a mother, sometimes we, we give the benefit of the doubt sometimes, and we try to, find reasons, to justify certain things. But when you work for a firm with high ethical standards, some things aren't just accepted. So without going into too much, obviously, protecting confidentiality of a specific situation. But although it broke my heart, I've had to sever employment with a certain employee or employees for breaking code, not necessarily a code, but our rules that we have set forth and our policies and procedures. And sometimes I think it hurts so much when they're very high producers. So, having to just be grounded in the policies and procedures that we set forth and not compromising them also goes leaps and bounds for the message that you're showing other employees. So that's the answer that comes to my mind right now. I hope that answers your question.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Meg?
Thanks, Senator Lee. The only thing I'm going to use is an example similar to Maryland's, where as the general manager of Xerox, I had hiring, firing power, and there were more than one employee that I had to release from employment due to ethics. Same thing, we have very high standards at Xerox, and basically somebody was abusing their expense reports, and I had to release them. The nice thing is that when you work for large corporations, especially, the ethics are very cut and dry. It's very easy to follow, and I think that's one of the things about this board is having cut and dry policies that you can follow, so there's not a lot of gray matter to wobble in between. So normally I just follow that. And I'm going to say if it's something that is not in a cut and dry manner, like in a corporation, I really have to say I normally take a pause, really kind of get an idea of what might have happened, what were their mindset, why did they do this. And normally, even though it might be termination or a payback or something like that, I still want to listen and understand why it might have happened, because that way then we can also change the rules and make sure that they're in writing so it doesn't happen again and everybody other understands at the same time going forward. Make it a lesson learned.
Thank you so much, Meg. And I guess to your point, you mentioned a lot of cut and dry policies, and I think there are very clear-cut guidelines in the Guam law. But, should you all be confirmed, we look forward to hearing feedback from you. If you do encounter that gray area, if there's an area in the law that we need to tighten up, please, we need to have that feedback so that we can improve and we can ensure that certain situations don't happen again.
And I'm not afraid of sharing my opinion.
Yes, I do. I do know that. Happy day, Doc. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Senator. I would echo what's been said. And there are not too many, I haven't faced too many ethical dilemmas because things are usually, fairly clear cut. The dilemma is really in having to render that decision knowing that somebody's going to be suffering. So I think compassion has to have a place when we're making decisions. And it doesn't mean we make the wrong decision or do the wrong thing, but in making the right decision, if we can somehow offer solutions or steps to help the individual who is at the receiving end of a negative decision. One example I'll share is a patient came in with a form for DMV. He didn't pass his driving test because his vision was just a little less than was required for him to get a license. And I had to tell him, look, I really can't. I can sign a paper, but I'm not going to go against the law or jeopardize lives by having somebody get a license who doesn't qualify. But even in telling him that, we were able to come up with a solution for him because he's the sole breadwinner, he's an elderly gentleman, he's the one who takes his wife to doctor's appointments. There is a need for this guy to drive. So the solution was, hey, go to motor vehicle and have them do a road test because, yeah, they're the cutoff of 20/40 vision, but 20/50, 20/40 on the road, you know, I have to follow the guidelines. But if he's a 20/50, I am sure that if he got a road test, he'd be able to get his license as long as somebody can verify that this guy is safe on the road. So I think at the end of the day, you know, most things are fairly clear cut. It's the suffering that comes as a result of you having to make that decision that I think is hardest to deal with. That's the dilemma.
Thank you so much. Ms. Camacho?
So with my work, sometimes we get reports on employees that are doing something wrong or are suspected of doing something wrong. And so I know these people. I work with them for years, and it's a matter of separating how I feel for them personally versus what they did or didn't do. And based on that, I have to make the decision to file or to report them to federal law enforcement. And yes, I feel the compassion and how it affects them because sometimes they are released. But at the end of the day, everybody is responsible for their actions, and they should stand by that.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you all so much in advance for your service. I look forward to supporting all of these nominations based on your packets and your response today. So again, I just want to thank you for your time today and the time that you will spend in the future serving the people of Guam in this capacity.
I just want to add something because that reminds me of our doctor here mentioning compassion. And you know, when I was in the police department, right, you know, I have to get people, violators on the road. And sometimes you have that compassion, and I stop, you know, a person driving like 50, 60 miles an hour in a 35-mile-hour zone, and this person will come up to me and say, hey, you know, I'm going in an emergency. I said, what kind of an emergency? I said, I'm late for work. So I said, wow, you know, so sometimes, you know, like when I was going to college, right, you know, I learned that sometimes, or most of the time, reinforcement, you don't reinforce by punishing people. You know, reinforcement, you know, to correct a mistake from a person, sometimes you have to be compassionate. And you just don't get down on the book and say, hey, you're fired. You know, you got to know you got to learn what the consequences is going to be. Like if the person have a family, you know, you got to be compassionate. But sometimes it depends on the type of violation, the type of crime, the type of mistake that this one person did in his working environment. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
And nominees, I'm just going to read a subsection of the code. Prohibition from political activities. I don't know if any of you read it yet. Members of the Ethics Commission and staff shall not take an active part in political management or any political campaigns during the term of office or employment. I honestly look forward to the nominees because what I've heard today and what I've seen in your packet, it says a lot. And it's going to be fun to watch the commission. When anybody wants to turn to you and play political games, I just read it. You wash your hand, you say, I'm sorry. Wrong is wrong, right is right. You'll all be compassionate, but they all have to face reality. And I believe the four of you will be able to fulfill that. Tax fraud, doctor, 2 businesswomen from Meleso. Ay, look, está cuenco. You have a nice drive all the way up for 25 years, but I do look forward to all 4 of you actually being confirmed. I will be submitting that recommendation. And that would end this hearing for the 4 of you. And we will take a break because we have one more nominee that requested that she'll show up. She's running late. She had to take care of something, so we're going to pause. But for the rest of the folks that are here, this will end the public hearing for the 4 of you, and it is now 2:40. And the public hearing for, let me read the names, Ms. Donalyn Camacho, Mr. Robert Jack, Margaret Taekwenko, and Marilyn Bora. The public hearing for your nominations have concluded at this time. And I do look forward for your confirmation. Thank you. For the people of Guam, we will take a pause for about 15 minutes pending the arrival of Ms. Shannon Bora, or Murphy, Shannon Murphy, and then we will continue. Thank you.